I think the problem, my immediate reaction to NC State losing that game is, how many times have we seen this? Kevin Keats enjoys a win. Talks the talk. Nobody's talking about us. Look, man, there's a reason why I asked him. So what happens when people do pay attention to you? This is NC State and prosperity, especially when it comes to basketball, are not friends. They're just not friends.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Nobody's talking about this. We're doing stuff that hasn't happened since 1989. Respect. Okay, cool. Well, here's a winnable home game for you against Virginia Tech. And it happens like that. I think that's where the frustration comes into play for a lot of NC State fans, because that was a very winnable game for the Wolfpack. And losing it, while it's a Q2 loss right now, it could very well be a Q3 loss.
No.
As the season progresses. I mean, Virginia Tech's 3-4 in the conference right now.
Yeah, but look at their losses. Virginia Tech's lost to Wake.
Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah.
Oh, what a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to Florida State, the second hottest team.
Yeah, they're hot
in
right
the
now.
league on the road. Lose to, I think, is still a tournament team in Miami. I know people are losing their minds over Miami.
Speaking of things that have lost steam, I mean, I was 1 through 5. I thought Miami had it, but my goodness, they can't get right.
They definitely need O'Meara. I mean, that's a good start for them. And they lost to their rival, Virginia. We'll see. We'll see what they do. I'm not down on State for losing a game. Okay. Yeah. I think in years past, we've seen like 5 teams at the bottom of the ACC where you're like, whoo,
yeah,
they're not good. You can't lose those games. And we see 3 or 4 teams at the top where you're like, man, those are world beaters. Those are killers. Yeah, you're never going to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina's playing well. I'm not ready to put Carolina in the world beater category.
Well, I think there's levels to this, and we'll talk about Carolina a little bit.
What I'm getting at is like there's a lot of coin toss games. I viewed this as a coin toss game where once again they shot the ball poorly. And now you add in turning the ball over, not taking care of the ball.
See,
where that's the thing they had been doing even in the Notre Dame game, even in the Louisville game, where you're sitting here going, well, how are they winning when they can't shoot well?
That's why. They are not a great shooting team.
No, they're not even a good shooting
team.
They're
just not. They're just not. But to your point, they've been winning by keeping it mistake-free for the most part and getting by on defense.
And defending. They didn't defend at all in the second half of that game.
I get that in the second half, defense was lacking. But again, turnovers continue to be the thing that you're playing fire with. And while you're not going to take too much out of one loss, I mean, I agree with you. They're 13-5, 5-2 in the conference right now. But we just had a conversation with Steve Forbes, Wake Forest head basketball coach, last week. And, the lament that a lot of ACC coaches have right now is, hey, man, when I had a winning record in the ACC, it meant that I could make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but that's the old man. That's old thinking.
That's old thinking. The new thinking is that ain't going to be enough. You have to have some wins of note. And that's the problem for NC State right now. They don't really have any wins of note. So if you don't have wins of note, you cannot play with fire in losing these coin toss games at home more than anything else. And right now, I was looking at KenPom this morning. They're 69th in KenPom. Virginia Tech is technically higher than them in KenPom and in net. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't know how that's all going to shake out as the season goes on. And I think that's why this is becoming referendum every game on Kevin Keats and NC State, because you got to make the tournament. I mean, this is a very crucial year for Kevin Keats. You got to make the tournament, man. And when you lose games like that, you put yourself into that zone of uncertainty. Now, I know a lot of State fans were in my mentions on Saturday talking about, well, when were they ever really in the running for the NCAA tournament? I'm like, hold up. Like, stop it. They hadn't done anything bad, okay? Hadn't done anything bad.
Man, we are dusting off the hits early this week. We are. I love it.
But this starts putting you in those categories of, now we got to start looking at you. What have you done exactly, Joe? And you have heard other coaches say this. You have heard people say this. You're always of this attitude of, oh, no, losing doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Losses do have to matter after a while. And that's what I'm afraid of for NC State losing to Virginia Tech. It just puts you in that zone. You don't want to be in that zone, man. Let alone the Herb zone.
Sure. I think NC State's path to the NCAA tournament remains the same.
Okay.
The Miami game is going to be important. They beat Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is an NCAA tournament team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what people are looking at that they don't think.
Yeah, I'm with you.
This whole, there's 3 bids. Florida State right now is playing like an NCAA tournament team. Now, Duke, to despite all their issues, they're going to be an NCAA tournament team, and we'll get to some of Duke's issues.
Yes.
So you have now left on the docket. Now, Virginia, they're not going to win on Wednesday. They're not going to win that basketball game. You know what? They already have a win over Virginia. So there's no like double points here. There's no weighted GPA here. Do you have a win over Virginia? Yes. Cool. So let's not overreact on Wednesday when they lose. The game against Miami, the game against Clemson, the game against Florida State, and the game against Duke. And then you have another shot at Carolina. They're not winning over in Chapel Hill, so just take that one off the list. They're going to have to go 3-1 in those games. Those are the games. You want to overreact to games? Overreact to those games.